Wednesday, and that means it's time for some of the weirdest and wackiest horror movies out there. If you're a fan of 80s horror, you've probably seen Gremlins. The movie's a fantastic combination of comedy and horror, and the characters are some of the most memorable ever. Who could ever forget the adorable Mogwai, Gizmo, or his evil gremlin counterpart, Spike? This movie is hilarious, and the special effects are great, making it one of the best of its time. But did you know that the very same year, a different movie was released, marketing itself in a similar way? Ghoulies, known for its promotional poster of a strange creature popping out of a toilet, was actually supposed to be made in 1983, and that would have made it the original Tiny Monsters movie. But that's not what happened. In fact, what could have been a pretty good movie ended up being one of the worst I've ever seen. Ghoulies tells the story of Jonathan, a college kid that inherits his father's old mansion. We learn that his father was the head of a satanic cult, and that he tried to sacrifice Jonathan when he was an infant. Jonathan's mother saves him, but becomes a sacrifice herself. So, Jonathan is raised by Wolfgang, a weird old groundskeeper played by Jack Nance. It's really weird just how many Twin Peaks actors starred in horror movies. Dana Ashbrook was in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, and a real stinker called Waxwork before he was on the show. Kyle MacLachlan was even in one of the best episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Anyway, Jonathan moves into the mansion with his girlfriend Becky and ends up following in his father's footsteps. He ends up inviting his weird friends over for a party and using them as part of a ritual that resurrects his father, who is controlling Jonathan all along to steal his soul. The characters in this movie are terrible. The stoner character is super weird, and the scene where he breakdances is very cringeworthy. But my favorite is the womanizer. That guy overacts every single scene he's in, and his lines are so poorly written that they come off hilariously.
They call me Dick, but you can call me Dick.
Throughout a lot of the movie, I was really confused by the Ghoulies themselves. The movie seemed like it was mostly about dark magic, and it felt like the little monsters were tacked on for no reason. Afterwards, I did some research, and it turns out the movie was supposed to be completely different. The original script called for Jonathan to be a boy moving into his grandfather's house to discover that the creatures in his grandpa's stories are real. The movie was supposed to be directed by Charles Band, the man behind Puppet Master, with special effects from the legendary Stan Winston. The movie got full funding from Fox, but ended up getting dropped, and the entire script was overhauled. I wish that the original concept was the Ghoulies we know, because that would have been amazing. Instead, the writers decided to make a script about an evil cult, and added the Ghoulies to stick with the promotional material. Jonathan was originally supposed to be played by Jeffrey Combs, one of the 80s horror greats. He could have saved the movie, bringing his great overacting and talent at portraying crazy masterminds to another Lovecraftian concept. Instead, the movie turned out a steaming pile of crap, but it's kind of fun to watch. The special effects are really awful, and the Ghoulies look like weird rubber hand puppets. There are scenes that make no sense, like when it turns out that Wolfgang is a powerful wizard and could have stopped all the bad things from happening all along. Or the appearance of a demonic clown that has no relevance to anything else in the movie. It's a bad movie, but if you were in the right mood, I could see someone really enjoying it. I wouldn't recommend it, but the story of the movie is so interesting it just has to be told. If you want to see the movie that almost was the original Gremlins, give Ghoulies a watch.